This topic is studying abroad, a ground zero reality perspective. So just wanted to give you a brief background of a company. So the person you see in this picture is Mr. Sridharan, and he's a managing director. So we are an organization who commenced our operations in 1988, and we are the first consultancy in India to operate under a corporate banner. To be very frank, we are the first people who started this mode of consultancy, where we help students fulfill their dreams of studying abroad. So when Australian universities first came to India 30 years back, Mr. Sridharan was the first person who they got in touch with. And we were the first organization in India, one of the first organizations in India to tie up with Australian universities. So you can see a small snapshot of a current office premises, which is located in KK Nagar in Chennai. But we operate all across India, and we have sent students from all over India. So our top study destinations are Australia, Singapore, the UK, Ireland, Canada, New Zealand, USA, and Europe. In Australia, Singapore, UK, Ireland, and Canada, we have direct representations, whereas in the other three countries, we work through our associate partners because we do not have any direct representations there. A core competency or our expertise lies in sending students to Australia. As I mentioned before, Australian universities were the first to reach out to us when they landed in India 30 years back. Okay, so studying in Australia, I studied in Australia for 2 years from 2018 to 2020. So I started off in 2018 Feb and finished in 2020 Feb. So I did my MBA in marketing from Edith Cowan University, Perth, Western Australia. And I had mentioned earlier that I'd gone through ManComp. So these are few of our prestigious representations. We represent University of Tasmania. Monash University is a Group 8 university, and they rank 33rd in the world. So very prestigious university and a very good institute to study with. Then we work with La Trobe University and University of Sunshine Coast in Brisbane. We represent a lot of other universities, but these are our prestigious representations. Okay, so why would you want to study in Australia? So Australia is the home to the third highest number of international students in the world. Number one is the United States of America, followed by UK, and number three is Australia. And it has 7 of the top 100 universities in the world. So just like how you have Ivy League colleges, in Australia, it's called G8, or the Group of 8 institutes. So Monash University, as I mentioned earlier, is one of those universities, and we partner with other universities as well. Australia has 5 of the best 30 livable cities in the world for students in terms of job prospects, residency, affordability, cost of living, affordability of tuition fees, cost of living. So these factors were considered when picking Australia up for this criteria. And over 200 million, this amount has increased. So this data is from a couple of years back. Every year, since the inflow of international students increase, a lot of money is set aside or has been given by the government as scholarships for international students every year. And if you fulfill a certain criteria, you are eligible to apply for a scholarship, and you do get a deduction in your tuition fee. Then the teaching standards are extremely high. So you can take my word for this, as I've experienced this personally. I enjoyed my 2 years of study. Trust me, I'm not a very academically focused person till I completed my UG. I did fairly decent, and I, like any other teenager, I had to be poked and prodded by my parents to sit and study or take my books or complete my assignments. But it took a complete turn after I set foot in Australia, and I started experiencing the high quality teaching standards and the excellent faculty. You will just love studying there. There is so much of practical learning, and I think it's a good mix, or a healthy mix, as I would like to call it, of textbook and or theoretical learning and practical learning, which is very, very important. Then you can get post study work opportunities, because if you do a 2-year course in Australia, you are eligible for a visa, which is called a visa subclass 485, which is a temporary graduate visa, or a temporary residency, TR as we call it. So once you complete your course, you can change your student visa to a temporary residency. You also get permanent residency opportunities. So let me be very clear with you when I mention opportunities here. So I do not 100% guarantee you that you will get a PR, because predominantly the aim of most of the students who move from India for their higher studies is to get a PR. So I will tell you one thing: it is not easy, it is not tough. It highly depends on you. It completely depends on you. The opportunity is there, you need to seize it. You need to network, you need to build contacts, you need to understand how the whole PR structure functions. You will have to do your groundwork, you need to do your homework, and there will be a lot of people. There'll be a lot of people along the way to guide you in the right direction as well as the wrong direction as well. So if you ask me what you must do, best thing to do is check out the Department of Home Affairs website and go to immigration, and then understand what is the whole procedure to get a permanent residency in Australia. So your job has to be in the skill occupation list, which is SOL, or you can also be sponsored by your employer, even if your job is not there in the SOL list. I had the opportunity to get a PR. My employer very kindly offered to do the same, but for my personal reasons, I had to come back to India. My MBA degree did not fall into the SOL list. So I was very fortunate that my employer, on seeing me work, he wanted to sponsor my temporary residency. Sorry, my permanent residency. TR is by default. You just need to apply for it with the whatever documentation is required, and you just get it in 1 or 2 months. So that is one thing to do. Do the search by yourself. Or another thing I would highly recommend is going to a migration agent, and preferably an Australian migration agent, because again there are a lot of people, a lot of migration agents who can give you the wrong information as well. So we don't want that happening. So always go to a certified licensed migration agent. Even you can also visit a migration agent in India. And this is not our forte, so I cannot speak much regarding permanent residency. Our core competency is just higher education. So we do work with a couple of our associates who are experts in the field of migration. So at the end of the session, if any of you are interested, please do drop a message, and I can share the details. Again, part-time work opportunities. Again, I'm using the word opportunities. You are allowed to work 40 hours a fortnight. And for this you will have to take a tax file number or a TFN number as soon as you land in Australia. So this will usually be guided by the bank you decide to bank with. They'll help you out with it. And see, the sole purpose of going to any country or any overseas destination is to study. I have seen a lot of my friends fall into the money trap, because I'll be very frank with you, you can make good money by doing part-time jobs. And a lot of my friends crossed this threshold and threshold of 40 hours, and they fell into that trap. And a few of my friends were deported, because you are not supposed to work 1 hour more than that 40 hours during this during a fortnight. I mean, there are a lot of people who will say you work for cash, so that you can throw sand over the eyes of the authorities. But trust me, these people are smart. They will easily find out if you're working more than 40 hours, and if they find out, you will be deported back to your country, and you cannot come back to Australia for 3 years, and it is a permanent black mark in your record. So always understand that the sole purpose for going there is to study, and definitely you can make up your living expenses, your rent, your food, your travel, just by doing a part-time job. Part-time jobs can be found through networking. We can help you by connecting you with previous students. uh, the students who we have sent past in these many years are extremely kind. So they have faced all these problems, and right now they're well equipped with solutions to help out any future students who wish to move to any country. And as I mentioned earlier, practical exposure is another major reason to consider the land down under. So since Australia's located in the southern hemisphere at the bottom, so a nickname for Australia is known as the land down under. So what are the most sought courses in Australia? So number one, I would say, is engineering. You have a lot of beautiful engineering programs for your undergraduate and postgraduate requirements. You have a lot of business courses, business degrees, both UG and PG, MBAs, masters in economics, masters in marketing. So I don't want to keep on going, because it will bore you. And I'm not an education counselor, so it is better you hear from our counselors on what courses and what are the units pertaining to each course. Nursing is yet another course which is sought by a lot of students, especially from Punjab and Kerala. So we have a lot of nurses from these two states. I mean, a lot of people go to do their undergraduate. A lot of people, they would have done their BSc nursing in India, and then they would move to Australia to do a health-related course. Not only nursing. So there are a lot of health-related courses. So we very well know how dedicated and how important are frontline workers, who include these health workers and nurses, who have helped us a lot. I know they have put their life at risk fighting this COVID-19 pandemic. So I would like to take this moment to appreciate the efforts put in by all healthcare workers all over the world. And another course is analytics, business analytics, data analytics, statistical analytics. All these courses, have great demand and great scope in Australia. So what's the course of action? What do you do? So you submit an application. We help you with the application process. Some universities charge an application fee, and that has to be shelled out from your pocket through your credit card. If you don't have a credit card, we will do it for you. And if you are going through us, we can reimburse that also. So even the application cost can be borne by us. Then you get the offer letter with a conditional offer, which says that you need to fulfill certain requirements, which will be mostly the completion of an English language test like PTE, IELTS, Duolingo, and all that. Then you need to remit your first semester fee with the student OSHC, which is the overseas health cover for a student. So we help you pick that as well, or you can feel free to pick that, because you have a lot of insurance providers out there. We are also tied up with a couple of healthcare providers, so but it's completely up to you who to choose. You can take our recommendations, or you can just pick one for yourself. So then you get something called a COE, which is a confirmation of enrollment. So this is the most important document required for your visa procedure. So once that is submitted with all other necessary applications uh, to the immigration, then you'll have to go for a medical test. So again, the Australian government is tied up with a lot of healthcare providers in the country. So it is up to you uh, who to go to, and then the results shall be submitted directly to the immigration. Then we also help you book your tickets, your travel arrangements, your accommodation, um, foreign currency. We have a lot of associates who have been working with for the past 32 years who can help you out with this. And yeah, housing arrangements, I'll talk to you the next slide. So we also help in finding part-time jobs for students. We do not give you 100% guarantee or assurance, because I personally can guide you on how to find a part-time job. And doing a part-time job is a great experience, and not necessarily that you'll land up in a white collar job right at the beginning. While doing a part-time job, you'll have to be working at a fuel station or KFC, McDonald's, any fast food chain. You can also end up being a cleaner. For the first 6 months I did not have a job. Uh, it was very hard for me to find a job, but one of my dad's best friends here was kind enough to give me a contact, who I networked with and slowly built a relationship. And he offered uh, me a job in his office. So I was a client services administration and junior accountant officer at his accounting and financial planning practice. That was a great experience. So in these 6 months, I have done a couple of jobs on and off, not any permanent job. So I have done Uber Eats, where I had a car there, and I had to make pick up food from fast food chains and then drop it off at the doorstep of customers. Then I have done a couple of cleaning jobs, cleaned offices. So it was all an experience. So one thing I learned from this was that every job has its own dignity, and you should respect people, irrespective of you should respect the people, respect the person in front of you for the human being is, and not for the title or the job he does. So this was a great lesson to me. We also help you with the accommodations. So we are tied up with Urbanist student accommodations in Australia. So they have acquired a lot of properties in Australia, and they provide accommodation, not on campus, but very close to the campus, probably in a 2 to 3 kilometer radius, where you can just bike down, or take the public transport, or even if you have a car, you can just take it. When it comes to finding a car, that is something, or a vehicle, a used vehicle, that's something where we come, that's some place where we come in. I can personally help you there, so I can guide you on how to buy a car. I have friends in Australia who can do the same, guide you if you want someone there to come along with you to pick up a vehicle for yourself. So you'll be requiring a vehicle only if you're choosing a city like Perth, because I stayed in Perth, and the public transportation, to be very frank, is not very great there. Otherwise, if it's Melbourne, Sydney, the buses and trains and trams are just excellent. I mean, beautiful connectivity. So only if Perth you'll be requiring a car, and sometimes, I mean, it's an added advantage when you're doing a part-time job, and the first thing they ask you when you walk in is, do you have a car? So it's really helpful if you have a car as well, but it's a complete personal preference, up to you. So the next institute, or the next country I would like to talk about is Singapore. And we deal with one major college there, or we represent one major college there, and it's known as the LaSalle College of the Arts, a brilliant arts college. So let's move on forward. So if you ask me why to study in Singapore, it's a cosmopolitan and multicultural city. If you have visited Bangalore in South India and Karnataka, a multicultural place where you have people from all over India. Similarly, in Singapore, you have people from all over the world, and And there are a lot of Indians, and we bear a close cultural resemblance to, and the country of Singapore bears a close cultural resemblance to India, and they are an English speaking nation, and one of their second most spoken languages is the language of Tamil. You have a very safe environment there. None of our students who we've sent in the past, I mean, we send students who are barely majors. I mean, 16, 17 years. Once they've completed their some when they've completed their 10th, some when they've completed their 12th. So even if you're a minor, it is very safe. I mean, parents might be worried regarding the safety of sending their wards to a country like Singapore, but it's an extremely safe place to be, and the quality of life is extremely great. Singapore is a major travel hub. It's a hop, stop, and a jump away from a lot of South Asian cities, and especially from Australia. Singapore receives a lot of investment from Australia, and Singapore invests a lot in Australia as well. They have such a great, excellent geographic location that they are a global logistics hub. So any movement to Europe or to India or to the west side of the world, it all goes through Singapore. So they're a very well connected city. Public transportation is awesome. The food is really good and it is affordable, and it's just a great place to be. So what are the most short courses in Singapore? We have fashion, filmmaking, drama, and design, which comes to it can be interior design, graphic design, animation, uh, any design related courses. Then you also have business courses, but business courses are not there in LaSalle, but they are there in PSB Academy, another institute we represent with. Since we predominantly deal with this arts college, so we do a very aggressive promotion of these courses. So if you are interested in doing your fashion studies or design, and if you want to study dance, music, filmmaking, it is one of the best colleges in South Asia, and we have sent a lot of students, and many of them have secured job opportunities with reputed concerns in the world. So what's going to be a path of action to get admitted into LaSalle? So then you will have to submit an application with a portfolio. So portfolio consists of the work you've done. If you're applying for uh, a dance related course, you will have to submit a few of your dance performances. If it is your interior design, any interior design work you've done before, music, any musical recordings you've done. So a lot of assessment. I mean, LaSalle is pretty strict when it comes to selecting their students, so they're very picky. So if you submit a good portfolio, you have a very high chance of being given an offer letter from there. After that, you'll also have a Skype interview, just a basic interaction with the admissions team, so that they can get to know more about you. And then it's just the usual, where you accept the offer, you pay the fees, and then we do the visa procedure. So all these stages are taken care of by our team, and you don't have to worry about it. You just have to pack your bags and leave when the time has come. Okay, so let's proceed to the next country, which is Canada. So a few of the universities we represent: Selkirk College, Cape Breton University, Nipissing University, and we represent a lot of universities from Canada, where we do not have any direct representations. We have partners who we work with very closely. So why would you want to study in Canada? So one of the major reasons is the affordability. Education is extremely affordable there. I mean, the tuition fee is the cheapest when it comes to receiving quality education. So let me be clear, there may be other countries which are cheaper than Canada to study, but you will not receive the same quality of education. So if you are looking for a very decent quality of education, and you want to pay less, Canada falls into that category. Again, a very multicultural society, a good mix of people from all over the world. Again, a presence of a lot of Indians, a very healthy and safe community to be in. I mean, the students we have sent to Canada, they're extremely happy. Only one thing they've complained about is the extreme climatic condition there, where sometimes temperature drops to -20, -30, and all. But otherwise, they're very happy and they're safe, and you don't feel threatened being anywhere. You also get a lot of part-time work opportunities, just like in Australia. But again, you need to get in there and search. Then again, while you are doing your study, there is a possibility you might even get a paid internship, so that will look good on your resume. And this is something which we cannot arrange. It completely works like where the college or the university you pick, they will have internship programs, but we can help you pick the universities if you want to have this experience, because it will look really good on your CV. You again have post-study work visa and job opportunities like a permanent job. Again, that is completely up to you to search and find. So spoon feeding ends when you decide to go study um, in another country, in another institute. So you need to do a lot by yourself. You become a lot more independent. Trust me, this is my personal experience. I am a whole lot responsible now, a whole lot independent. I learned to manage my finances. I was very bad at managing my finances while I was working here in India before I left for my higher education. But right now, if you this is from my heart. I have changed a lot, and I thank my parents who gave me this wonderful opportunity to go abroad and study, because without them and my close circle of friends, I am nothing what I am today. So I would like to take this minute to thank my parents and my close family and friend circle. So yeah, the opportunities are there. I'm pretty sure you would have heard about the expression carpe diem. So that's pretty much it. You just need to seize the opportunities. If you sit back and decide to be lazy and relax, no one is going to put everything on a plate and give it to you. You will have to go out there and find out what's happening. And put in your fair smart work. I would like to call it smart work. Gone are the days of hard work. If you're a smart bloke, you can survive in this world. So yeah, moving on. Permanent residency opportunities are brilliant in Canada because they have a pilot program. Again, always better to approach a migration agent for this, because they are very well versed. But one thing I can guarantee is that uh, it is more possible to get a PR in Canada than in Australia. I mean, the process is fairly easier when compared to Australia, because right now the Canadian government wants a lot of people to migrate to Canada, and there are a lot of opportunities there. So what are the most sought courses in Canada? So the most sought courses are nursing. Again, a lot of people go for nursing and healthcare related courses in Canada. You have a field called geriatry, where you can specialize in, and then you can become a licensed professional there. A lot of people use this nursing opportunity, to get their permanent residency there. You also have business and finance courses. Then you have engineering courses. Then you have a lot of analytics related courses as well. but mostly, if you ask me, students go for business related courses and nursing. So what's the plan of action here? It's same and simple like as of before. You submit the application. Almost all Canadian colleges require you to pay an application fee. Same, you can pay it, or if you want us to pay it, we can do it. And if your application is successful, we'll reimburse it to you. Then you accept the offer, remittance of fee and living costs. So you need to show your living expenses, which is I think around 10,000 Canadian dollars a year, in a bank there before you apply for your visa. Then visa procedure is also again taken care by us. So be it for any country, it takes around 1 or 2 months for the whole visa process. I mean, there are instances where you get the visa in 1 day and 15 days and 30 days and also 45 days. So it's pretty unpredictable. So to be on the safer side, I would like to say that it takes around 1 to 2 months to complete your visa procedures. So plan well in advance when you want to go. Then when it comes to studying in UK and Ireland, we represent the University of Bradford, Coventry University, University of Northampton, University of Sunderland in UK, and we partner with other people also. Then in the Ireland, we represent Griffith College and the Limerick Institute of Technology. So if you ask me why to pick UK or Ireland, so let me start with Ireland first. It's a very friendly and safe country, and you have a lot of courses to choose from, and their degrees are recognized internationally quite well. And they are people who focus on educational excellence, and they have a very innovative and creative culture. So interesting, it's very interesting to know that they are the people behind I mean, their brains are behind the innovation of the submarine, color photo, soda water, aircraft ejector seats, and even surprisingly, this is something which I didn't know. They are the reason that we all enjoy chocolate milk. uh, this is very interesting to know. They also have discovered a treatment for leprosy, and they only invented the portable defibrillator. You have a presence of lot of leading MNCs here. So Ireland is like the hub for telecommunication and social media companies. A lot of big giants like Facebook, I mean, now Instagram is owned by Facebook, so Facebook, Google, and telecommunication companies like Vodafone, IT companies like HP, and a couple of pharma companies also exist. So around 1,000 global MNCs are present in Ireland, and the job opportunities are great. Ireland also gives you a 2-year post-study stay-back option. So moving on to the United Kingdom, they have 4 of the top universities, 6 universities in the world are in UK, and their courses are more shorter. So if you're looking for a course which you can complete quickly, say within a span of 1 or 1.5 years time, UK is the place to be. So very quickly, a very intensive course. A lot of good courses are there in business, um, in engineering, in physiotherapy. A lot of people choose UK because they want to complete their education fast. So you have a lot of UK is a place which offers a lot of 1-year courses. They offer a lot of diplomas. They have hundreds of years of educational experience and world-class academic facilities. Uh, they are the home to the the home to the second most largest number of international students in the world after US. You also have a lot of as I said, you have a lot of institutes to choose from. They have a lot of good colleges and institutes, and you also have part-time work opportunities. Just similar to Australia, you can work for 40 hours during your study period, but during your vacation time there is no restriction. You can go crazy. I mean, you can work full time, 38 to 40 hours in just a week. And UK has also very recently introduced their stay back program because they want a lot of people to stay back, and that means there is a possibility there are a lot of opportunities available for students. So most sought courses, as I mentioned earlier, so your left side you see is UK physiotherapy, brilliant courses. You can work with NHS there, or we have students who have set up their own practices after studying physiotherapy. You have good law programs. Law is a field where you can flourish in UK, depending on your personal capability. Always, you can flourish in any field. If you ask me, it depends on how good you are, how dedicated you are, how focused you are, and how smart you are. And you have a lot of business courses in the United Kingdom as well. A lot of 1-year MBAs with specializations, masters in economics, masters in digital marketing, uh, masters in actuarial sciences. A lot of interesting courses. UK has, I can very confidently say that UK has a big array of very interesting courses to choose from. And one very interesting course which you can do is sports management. So UK has universities which offer one of the best sports management courses of, best sports management courses in the world. So if you are interested in becoming or interested in taking up managerial roles in a sports team, like if you want to become a football manager for a team like Manchester United or Arsenal or Barcelona, or if you want to be in the managerial division of an IPL team or the national team, we have sent a couple of students in the past to universities like Cardiff, where they have a beautiful program where they teach you sports management. Very interesting field. And on the right side we have Ireland. And as I mentioned in the start, Ireland is a company with Ireland is a country where a lot of information technology, IT, computer related courses have great scope, because the job opportunity providers are all, predominantly are from that line. So cyber security courses have great scope in Ireland. Digital marketing, because companies like Google, Facebook, name any social media company, Pinterest, all of them have their offices in Ireland. And digital marketing is the way to go now, with the current market condition. A lot of businesses, be it already the big businesses were into digital marketing. The small businesses who had stuck to field marketing and traditional old school ways of marketing have picked up digital marketing and started implementing them in the business. Artificial intelligence is also picking up in Ireland. Great scope, very good courses, and good work opportunities as well. Moving on, again, how do you go about it? Simple and usual. You submit the application, you wait for the offer, accept it, you remit the fee and the living costs, then you book your tickets, then you fly. I've just mixed up, my apologies for this. So visa procedures come first, and then it's travel arrangements. So sorry for that. So yeah, it's pretty simple. Most of the countries have the same process. I mean, how to go about it, or the course of action, as I would like to call it, is very similar. Only a few changes here and there. So now I would like to tell you about the intakes, or what time during what times of the year universities start their courses. So Australia is from February to July. Singapore, LaSalle has an intake for UG students in August, PG in January. Other universities have a September intake, a November intake. Canada, universities offer classes from September or January, and also May. For UK and Ireland, it's mostly September, and a few universities offer in January as well. So I've also picked up a cost comparison table for you from one of our associate partners, who is Apply Board. So you can see that I was mentioning about Canada to you. So they come last in terms of costing of both your living expenses and your tuition fee put together, and their quality of education rank is 4. So that's great. Australia is the most expensive to study, but again, quality comes at a cost. People say different schools of thought are there. So the quality of education rank is 3. UK is in between. UK and Ireland and between. UK and Ireland, the tuition fees and living cost come up to the same. Ireland maybe a little more less. It also depends on the place you pick to live in Ireland or UK. Because if you're going to live in London, it's going to be expensive, and if you're going to live in Dublin, it's going to be expensive as well. So what our students do is they pick a suburb which is in the outer areas, so that the cost of living is much lesser. So the entry requirement needed for applying to any country for a UG, your UG or PG score needs to be, or your +2 score. So if you're applying for +2, so PG, I mentioned PG because you can also apply for a PhD. We also help students pursue their doctorate dreams also in countries like Australia. So we've sent quite a number of students. So around 55 to 60%. Top universities may ask for 70% or more, depending on what course you're applying to, and some Australian universities, even the Group 8 universities, ask only 65. But for some courses, the requirement might be more. So you need to write your IELTS examination. It's a fairly simple English test. So for UG courses, you need an overall score of more than 6 and no band less than 5.5. PG requires an overall score of 6.5 and no band less than 6. So once again, thank you so much for participating in this webinar. And I've switched over to our contact information. So you can note this down, or I'm sure the team from HDFC will be sharing the slides with you, so you can go through it, and you can always get back to us if you have any doubts. So that's it, guys. Thank you so much for attending this session, and take care, and stay safe, and enjoy the rest of your evening. Thank you so much.